Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Speed Draw Therapy. So today's episode, I'm playing around with perspective a bit because that's something I feel like I can improve with. And this one was a little bit difficult, so you're going to see me restarting a lot on certain strokes, so just be aware of that. But anyway, today's episode, I'm going to be talking about the first time I knew that I was gay. And I wanted to talk about this because it's not a bitter story at all. I know I hear a lot of like coming out stories where people, they have a really bad experience coming out, which really sucks. But for me, it was throughout my childhood, I think it makes sense that I would just become gay because some of my most vivid memories were, like, at least from my childhood, were like me doing things that like a normal little boy would never do. So I think looking back on it, it made so much sense to become gay, and that's why it feels so good, to feel this way and to act, do the things that I do and be into the things that I'm into. And just as a correction, come out as gay, not become gay. You don't become gay. You just are or you aren't. But anyway, so some of the most fun, like vivid memories that I have as a kid was being like 8 years old, like 7 to 8 years old, really little, and being obsessed with Tarzan. Not specifically because I loved the movie, which, I liked the movie, but that wasn't the main reason I loved Tarzan. The reason I loved Tarzan was because of the way that the character was dressed. Like, the character was dressed up in this, like, I don't know if you can say dressed up, but basically like the equivalent of like a Speedo. If anybody's ever seen Tarzan, you know what I'm talking about. And there was something there about like being a little 7-year-old kid and just being obsessed with Tarzan because of the way the character looked, because of the way he was dressed. It was this idea that I knew that it was weird, but it was just this idea in my mind that this character who's supposed to be a boy or a man, and he's wearing this generally like non-manly type of outfit. It was something that, as a little kid, I knew it was weird, and I didn't really know how to communicate it though, because I was a little boy. But at around that same period of time, from the age of 7 to like maybe 14 or 15, another really vivid memory that I have is being really young, and I had this really shitty little laptop, and I would try to make like Let's Play videos on, and it was horrible. But aside from that, one of the memories that I have is like, there was this, and I was never into superheroes, but like there was this Marvel game on the Marvel website at the time where you could basically build your own superhero. And I would go on that website to play that game, specifically to play that game only. I didn't give a fuck about Marvel. I still don't. I think Marvel's trash. But I would go on to play that game almost every single day for like 10 to 15 minutes because at the time, when I was younger, I had this obsession with male superheroes that wore, like the old school men's superheroes that like wore like a Speedo, like the old school Robin, things like that. I was really obsessed with that type of like look. And again, at the time, I didn't really know why because I was so young, but I went onto that website to play that game specifically because you could choose between male or female, and one of the bottom options, one of the like the bottoms portions that you could choose for your character was basically a Speedo. And I would literally go onto that website specifically to play that game, specifically to choose that kind of outfit. And again, it's because I loved looking at it. And at the time, keep in mind, I wasn't masturbating yet. So it's like, you can imagine how weird it was for me being like 10 to 13 years old doing something like that, and you didn't really know why you did it, and I knew that it was weird. I knew that like other kids my age, other boys my age were not doing stuff like that, and so it was so strange for me to deal with because I didn't really know what to think. I had no idea like what the fuck. I don't know why it's something that I keep going back to, but I think nobody could have really told me that I was gay, but I knew all the signs were there because I came out as gay as like, I think it was like 2023, I think, like late 2023 is when I first came out to my family that I was gay, and they were really supportive of it. But I think the biggest thing to me was just it was so freeing. It was one of the best things that I ever did, because I mean, I just kind of walked around not really knowing what I was. And then I always had a difficult time trying to figure out, like, because I was never attracted to women. I don't even think, not even a little bit. I think that I had 2 girlfriends in middle school. So I was like some people would like call me like a little fucking player in middle school, but like I that was honestly just a thing that I did because I felt like I had to. I mean, as a kid, you always follow trends and you always do what everybody else is doing until you can figure out who you really are and what you truly like. So that was just something that I thought that I had to do because I was a boy, because I was a man. And so I didn't really think about it too much. But I mean, it got to the point to where I didn't even think about women at all. Like it was nothing. And for a while, I didn't think about men either. So I thought that like I was just like sterile or something. I don't fucking know. Like I didn't seem to like have attraction towards either of them. But and this is kind of like, I had like a really bad sexuality crisis not too long ago where I was kind of honestly horrified that I wasn't actually gay, and there was just something really horribly wrong with me, that like I just wasn't attracted to people at all, because I was like, basically what sparked this, and it turned out to be anxiety, but what sparked this was like I went out on a date with a guy that I didn't know, because it was a Grindr, like it was like a dating app type of situation, and I went out on a date with this guy, and we made out for a solid 20 to 30 minutes. And it was some pretty like aggressive, making out, like seriously, like we were inside each other. Not to get too graphic, but yeah, it was a pretty intense makeout session, and it was actually my very first makeout session. I always sort of had this anxiety with dating, and I didn't really know what to do. I couldn't talk to anybody about being gay, and so I wasn't really able to find anybody that anybody that was in my life that I could potentially pursue. And so it was just like, I just remained a virgin for a long time. And, the main thing that really caused this sexuality crisis that I was referring to was basically he starts talking to me about starting a life with me and getting married and having children or something like that, and I didn't realize it at the time, but I think that really freaked me out, because I'm not ready for that shit. At the time I was like 22, 23, and this was my very first date ever. This is like the first time I ever went out on a date, like a real date, and the first time I ever made out with somebody. And so you can imagine how bad that freaked me out. But at the time, I didn't have the foresight to like realize that I didn't have the foresight to realize that like, oh wait, I didn't want to be with this guy, therefore I'm not gay. That was kind of like what was going through my head. And so, but I didn't have the foresight to realize that like, it wasn't because I wasn't gay and I didn't like it. We literally made out for like 20 to 30 minutes. Like we fucking went all in, and I loved every second of it, right? But it was because he scared the shit out of me by saying that. And I didn't bring that up to him, but what also made it worse was I got extremely sick the next day. Like if you're not careful, like I guess it depends on like who you make out with or whatever, but like the next day I woke up in the morning with like horrible strep throat, a really bad ear infection, and a respiratory infection, which is just like, what the fuck? Like I got fucking KO'd the next morning. So I was really out of it for like a couple weeks. But the main reason I'm telling that story is because I thought that I was like, I don't know, I just thought I was like a libidoless freak who wasn't attracted to people, and I didn't know how to express my sexuality at all. I didn't think I had a sexuality, and it really scared the shit out of me, because one of the things that I hate in life is just not knowing, you know what I mean? Like I'd like to at least know, like even if it's a bad thing, I'd like to know something, and the fact that I seemed to be questioning my sexuality at that point, it really was traumatic, because I thought I had it figured out finally, because my whole life, you have to understand, like I didn't think I was gay for a long time, but then at some point I thought about it, and it made so much sense, and then I came out, and then not even a year later I fucking had this crisis. And then it wasn't until and this is so stupid. This is the dumbest fucking thing. You guys are gonna make fun of me for this, but it wasn't until I watched the movie Stargate. I'll sort of take you back a little bit. I was up late one night, and I can't even say that because I used to have this really awful sleeping pattern where I would basically go to bed at like the crack of dawn, like 4 a.m., 5 a.m. Like I would stay up. I would just wing it for forever, for like hours at a time. And so I had this horrible sleeping schedule. So I was trying to get back on track and get my schedule back together. And so I was in this phase where I would go to bed at like 10 o'clock and then I would just wake up periodically in the middle of the night for no reason. And then there was one night though where I woke up, and one of my favorite shows is Ancient Aliens. Love that show so much. But I woke up one night, you know, because YouTube is weird. It plays random shit based off of what you were watching. And I woke up and this movie called Stargate was on. I'd never seen Stargate, never even heard of it. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm watching this movie now because I can't go back to bed. And so I'm sitting there watching the movie, and it wasn't until the main, like, supervillain of that movie came up on screen. And it was played by this beautiful, I'm like, oh my God, I'm fucking like, my heart's racing thinking about this, like talking about it. This beautiful man named Jay Davidson. If you go to my website, into the Shrines page, you'll see him on there. He is one of the most beautiful young men that I've ever seen in my life. Like, I'm serious. When I first saw him, it was one of the most unbelievable experiences that I've ever had. It was the first time it truly felt like I had fallen in love with somebody, you know, by looking at them, you know? And the sad thing is, of course, the movie came out in like 1993, so he looks a lot different now and he's older, so, but that's besides the point. Point was, like, I finally had an actual true man crush on somebody, you know, and it was like, I know it's like a parasocial, like it's just an actor in a movie, but like, you know, to me it was much more than that. It really reinstated to me that I really am gay, and it helped me realize that, like, you're not fucking some sterile freak who has no sexuality, who isn't attracted to people. You're gay. You are 100% gay. Like, I knew that for a fucking fact. Like, the second that he came on screen, I immediately knew that I was gay. 100%. Like, from that point on, I knew it. And it was one of the best days of my life. One of the best nights of my life, because, the amount of pressure that you have to just not know what the fuck you're into. You don't even fucking know. It was one of the worst experiences of my life, but that moment, seeing him on screen, you know, it was goddamn incredible. And after that, I began to realize there were a lot of men that I was into. Like, for instance, the former bassist of Simple Plan, his name is David Dostriez, and like, he was like, or Dostrier, some fucking weird ass French name. He used to be beautiful in 2002. And you go to my Shrines page on my website, and again, he's on there too. And then same thing with like the guys in Blink-182, one of my favorite bands ever. I love Blink-182 so much. Like, most of my man crushes are people in bands, just FYI. but yeah, that was just kind of my experience, having, like, you know, a crisis, and then coming back into terms with being gay, and coming back in touch with myself again, my sexuality, and then, you know, my experiences as a child, you know, being gay and all those other things. That was kind of the story behind all of that. And it was, you know, it's been one of the most incredible rides of my life, you know, just trying to find myself. And I'm at a point right now where physically I may not be in the place that I want to be, you know, like, there's a lot of things that are uncertain, but one of the biggest things that I know for a fucking fact is solidified is my sexuality. I am gayer than a box of crayons. I love men so much, and I can't wait to meet somebody that I can spend my life with. And so that's like, I'm like getting a little bit misty-eyed talking about this, because I'm so happy with you know, who I am, and I love everything about myself. And I'm going to stop talking about it because I'm actually going to start crying here in a second. So, but anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the speed drawing in the background. This was a really fun one because it was something I haven't done before, a lot of perspective, and it came out really well. So I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Anyway, this was probably my favorite episode of this that I've done so far. So if you guys enjoyed it, leave a like, subscribe. If you have your own coming out experiences, I'd love to hear them. But anyway, you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you later.
I was fine when you held my hand. I was fine when you pulled me down. You said the stars would answer. You said our prayers were written down. I was fine when you pulled